So, good morning to everyone. So, today we will be discussing about Euler's equation of motion of a rigid body. So, as you know, in our last class, we were discussed about the rate of change of vectors and moment of inertia tensor. Then we also discussed about the kinetic energy of the case. That also we have discussed. Now today we are coming into a discussion of by taking all those consideration, the angular momentum vector, the momentum inertia of tensor, the kinetic energy representation, this all representation we have done in our last class. We are taking that into account to create a Euler's equation of motion, or rather we can say that it is related to rigid body dynamics. So what is Euler's equation means is that we know that we have several equation of motion, especially you already studied about equation of motion in the case of by using Newton's law. And what basically Euler's equation has been different from that is that we are considering it's about a rotating frame of reference. So our discussion we mainly addressing on a rotating frame of reference. So we used to call this as Euler's rotation equation as well. Okay, Euler's rotation equations. So when you consider rotational frame of reference, where you want to say the equation of motion corresponding to a rotational frame of reference, then we'll use basically we basically use Euler's rotation equation. So these are the basically a vectorial. Euler's equation is a vectorial quasi-linear quasi-linear first order differential equation, first order differential equation. Okay, which actually describe this first order differential equation describe the rotation of a rigid body. Okay, rotation of a rigid body. Okay, so how do we use? For that we use a by using a rotating frame of reference. Okay, rotating reference frame with its axis or axis fixed to a body and also you can see that n which is parallel to the body's principal axis of inertia. Okay, inertia. So as I said, Euler's equation of motion basically representing Euler's rotation equations. These are a vectorial quasi-linear first order differential equation describing the rotation of a rigid body using a rotating frame of reference with axis fixed at one point to the body and parallel to the body's principal axis of inertia. And how do we represent that? For that discussion we'll come into that discussion. Before that, let me start from a discussion of torque. So from that torque we actually can derive this one here. Normally when you consider Newton's second law in an inertial frame of reference, right? So Newton's second law normally we use in, as we know, Newton's second law we normally implement on one inertial frame of reference, right? So that equation we cannot use for a rotating frame of reference. So we know Newton's equation of motion as well. So here we are not considering that into detail, but for your understanding you can just note that that is dl in by dt, that is the angular momentum in inertial frame of reference, and the corresponding representation for Newton's second law. That is what I was saying. In I in means inertial moment of inertia in inertial frame of reference, and corresponding to that you will be getting a torque in inertial frame of reference. Okay, I in is the moment of inertia tensor, and torque you will be getting the torque as dl in by dt. So this is already you know about. When you want to take the torque, so you have to take the rate of change of angular momentum, that is basically torque means. Torque means rotational force, we used to call as torque. Okay, now this is we derived in the case of Newton's second law. So now if we consider for solving a motion of a general rotating rigid body, okay, so in order to solve the motion of a rotation, okay, to solve the general equation of motion or the motion of a general rotating body, we need actually Euler's equation of motion. Okay, in that case what is the scenario is that in that case both the moment of inertia and the omega both can change. We know that in that case the inertial moment of inertia tensor and and the omega will change in this case, in rotation case. Okay, that is more important in that discussion. That's why we are introducing a new equation of motion corresponding to a rotating body. Okay, so in the last class we have considered two frame of reference P and P dash. Hope you remember that. In that session we said we kept P fixed and we rotated P dash in that case. Similarly we can do the same here. So in order to start solving or to derive the equation of motion or the Euler's equation of motion, what do I consider here is that I'll take torque here. Okay, so as I said, torque. So I'll take torque. Torque tau is equal to. So we have seen that which can represent as dl by dt, where L is, as you know, it is the angular momentum. Okay. So I take tau is equal to dl by dt at a fixed frame as first equation here. Okay. So let me take it as the first equation. And now in the last class we also did a exercise and we find it out that there is an operator, we can find it as an operator d by dt, okay, which is a fixed or which is at a rest or fixed frame of reference, that is P, right? So that is we represent as d by dt at P, which is in rest and fixed frame, which is equal to d by dt P dash, which we saw that it is a rotational frame of reference, and d by dt at P dash will be into omega cross. Okay, this was an operator we have obtained in last class when we discussed about the moment of inertia tensor. D by dt of at P is equal to d by dt at P dash plus omega cross. Okay, I think when we have discussed about rate of change of vector in that case, then now what we do here is that we just operate with this operator. This operator is operating on L, angular momentum L. Okay, so how do it look like? dl by dt at P will be there, which is equal to dl by dt at P dash plus omega cross L will be there. Okay, this is how, if the operator is operating on the angular momentum, dl by dt at P is equal to dl by dt at P dash plus omega cross L. And now we know that dl by dt, this is a fixed frame of reference, right? So which is equal to dl by dt at rotational frame of reference. So I keep it as rot. Okay, then omega cross L, I can write it like this. So why do I write? You will be getting now in detail. Now we know that dl by dt fixed we can call as torque, right? So that is a torque. So we can represent as torque as tau like this, which is equal to, now I can substitute what is L. In last class we have seen that L is I omega. I is the moment of inertia tensor and omega is the angular uh, velocity in that case. Now we have d by dt of I omega will be there instead of L. Okay, so this is our term on a rotating frame of reference plus omega cross L. Now what do we do with that? We have tau equal to, we can take I outside from here, then we represent it as d omega by dt. So I simply represent as omega dot. Okay, omega dot, that is d omega by dt, I d omega by dt. So I'll represent this as I omega dot plus omega cross L, where omega dot is d omega by dt. Okay, for your detailed understanding. So this is our torque here. So you can note that this relation torque is equal to I omega dot plus omega cross L representation. Now what I do here is that we know that we can represent this entire equation in terms of a matrix form. Okay, so I am just representing this in matrix form. So if I represent that is in matrix form, then we'll have tau xi cap plus tau yj cap plus tau zk cap will be equal to, we know that I is a moment of inertia tensor, which I represent with a half diagonal elements keeping 0, ixx 0 0 0, iyy 0 and 0 0 izz. So I'll keep the half diagonal elements as 0 and I do represent the omega x in this, omega dot is here, right? So which I can represent that I omega x dot, okay, j omega y dot, okay, sorry, oh sorry, okay, I'm trying to keep a dot over here. I don't know why it's not coming. Okay, j omega y dot, then we have k omega z dot, okay, then plus we are having omega cross L. Omega cross L means it's a uh, cross product, right? So which we can keep it as a matrix like this, I j k I j k, and you can keep it a omega x, omega y, omega z, and lx, ly, and lz. Okay, now if you just compare the terms of corresponding to tau x, that is if you compare the terms corresponding to I cap, then you will be getting tau x can be, the torque tau x can be written as I xx omega x dot plus omega y lz minus omega z ly. Oh, this will be a matrix, right? Sorry, this will be a determinant, right? Okay, so this part will be a determinant. Sorry, so you'll be getting the details like omega y lz omega z ly, like you'll be getting if you're comparing, and this will be tau y will be equal to iy omega y dot plus omega z lx minus omega x lz. So like you will be getting, and tau z which is equal to iz. I just keep ixx or something that in just iy. Okay, then iz plus omega x ly minus omega y lx. Okay, this will be a determinant for a matrix. Okay, so if you compare the okay, if you compare the elements corresponding to that, which is if you compare the I components together, if we collect the I components together and j components together and k components together, you can write this equation like this. Now so what is omega y lz is omega y lz, rather I can represent like this, as we know L is equal to I omega, right? So from that we'll get a detail that omega sorry del torque x will be equal to tau x will be equal to ix omega x dot plus this I can take it as omega y omega z. If I take that is out, then we'll be getting this I can represent in terms of moment of inertia tensor iz minus iy. Okay, because L is equal to I omega. Okay, so what is I omega means? Okay, so you can just keep L is equal to I omega here, then you can write the entire equation in this form, and tau y will be equal to I y omega y dot omega y dot plus omega x. 1 second. Omega x omega z into ix minus iz, and we have tau z is equal to iz omega z dot plus omega x omega y into iy minus I x will be coming as. So these three equation we call as Euler's equation of motion. Equation of motion of a rigid body. Okay, of a rigid body. Okay, tau x is equal to ix omega x dot plus omega y omega z iz minus iy, and and tau y is equal to iy omega y omega x omega z ix minus I omega iz, and tau z is equal to iz omega z dot plus omega x omega y iy omega x. So how do we done is that we just substituted in this equation, as we know lz is there, so lz we can say that iz omega z. and Ly we know that it is, we can represent as Iy omega y. Okay, then if you substitute that into the equation, you can actually collect omega y and omega z, you can take it to outside, then you will be having Iz minus Iy. Similarly, here you can substitute Lx what? Lx is equal to Ix omega x. If you substitute that into this equation, so you can also take omega x omega z outside, then you can write it as omega x omega z Ix minus Iz. So that's what we have done from this equation to come to reach this equation. So only we have just substituted Lz, Ly, Lx, then we can take out outside these common terms, then we came to the equation corresponding to this. So this is what I was saying. So this is a first order linear equation, that's why this is a first order differential equation. Okay, and it is quasi-linear, this is not that linear equation, so it's not a linear equation, that's why we said it is a quasi-linear, partially it's a linear equation. That's why the definition as a quasi-linear first order differential equation, okay, of a rotating body. A body is rotating means there will be a corresponding angular velocity. Okay, so that's why we represented entire term in this fashion. Okay, now if you read the definition once again, you'll get to know that it is what is the Euler's rotation equation are describing a quasi-linear first order differential equation of a rotating rigid body. Okay, that's clear. So Euler's equation of motion of a rigid body we represented in terms of torque. Okay, in terms of torque and in terms of torque, angular velocity and moment of inertia tensor. So if I keep in general, how do what we done is that we just taken I omega dot plus omega cross L. That's what we have done here. Basically we have done this part of discussion here. So that is we kept in matrix form, and this is we used to call as Euler's equation. So in this equation we have done what? Tau equal to I omega dot plus omega cross L, where L we substituted with L is equal to I omega. So the entire equation will be in three terms, that is tau, moment of inertia tensor, then moment angular velocity representation. So if you once you represent that in terms of like this, you can call it as Euler's equation of motion of a rigid body. Okay, now keeping this Euler's equation of motion into consideration, I'll move on to the next discussion, that is about force free and torque free motion of rigid body. Okay, that is about force free, or rather we can say that since it's rotational one, we can say that torque free motion of a rigid body. Okay, so we'll consider that now. So force free and torque free motion of a rigid body we'll consider now. For that I need those equation of motion of Euler's equation. Those these three equations we call as Euler's equation of motion rigid body. So now we'll keep that means what, or torque free means what. So we'll keep where if it is torque free, then tau x will be equal to 0. Okay, tau x will be equal to 0. Then will consider uh, tau y will be equal to 0. So tau x is equal to 0, tau y equal to 0. Then we have tau z is equal to 0. So we'll consider like this. And if you do so, we know that the left part of this entire equation becomes what? It will be 0. So we can actually equate this equation to 0, right? So we'll do that. So that is, if we consider the first equation, the first equation was what? It was tau x is equal to I x omega x dot plus omega y omega z, right, into iz minus iy, right, which is equal to 0. Okay, by considering that, rather I can write this equation as ix omega x dot, right, sorry, okay, omega x dot, which is equal to omega y omega z. Let me check it. Iz minus iy, right? Okay. And what about the second equation? So I just want to check whether there is a negative quantity coming to act or not. Okay. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, so ix omega x dot will be equal to ix omega dot will be equal to, I can write it as, sorry, okay, ix omega x dot will be equal to omega y omega z iy minus iz will be there. So I have just reordered this one, iy minus iz, so that the minus, there will be a, when you take this into the other side, there will be a minus term. So I cope up with rearranging this one, iy minus iz. So this is my first equation. And similarly, if you do to the second Euler's equation, we'll get ix, okay, sorry, iy omega y dot will be equal to omega x omega z iz minus ix. And also for the third case, for iz omega z dot will be equal to omega x omega y into ix minus iy. Okay, so like we'll be getting a relation. So we have three equation corresponding to that first equation here, second one this, and this is the third equation. And these three equation we used to call as force free, or rather torque free motion of body, or torque free relations. Okay, force free relations or force free relation of a motion of a rigid body. So what we have done simply is that we have just taken tau x is equal to 0, tau y is equal to 0, tau z is equal to 0. So if you know about the Euler's equation of motion, you just keep it as, and you can take the this to other side, and there will be a reordering in the other side to cope up with the negative sign. Then you will be getting the equation representation like this. Okay, so this is the representation of a force free relation corresponding to that. Okay, so that's all about force free and torque free case. So if the rotation is force free or torque free, then you can actually utilize the equation as in this form. And this fashion also we have seen the same case for Newton's case as well. Okay, similar representation you can see over there as well. And now, in Newton's case, actually we are not considering the rotation of a body. Here we are considering the rotation of body as well. That's why angular velocity also coming into the picture. So this is a representation for force free relation. Now we will move on to the discussion of conservation of kinetic energy. From this discussion, conservation of kinetic energy, relation. So we need to identify a relation for the kinetic energy conservation relation. So we'll just find it out. Now we'll move on to the discussion of conservation of kinetic energy. So for that, we already said a discussion about kinetic energy in the last class, kinetic energy for a rigid body case. Now we'll see how do the conservation of kinetic energy can be represented from this equation. For that, I'll be taking again this force-free relation. Okay, so I'll be taking the force-free relation for this case. So what do I do is that I have represented those equation so that you can see that the force-free relation, we have three relation ix omega x dot y w omega y omega z iy minus iz, so which I represented with equation 1 2 3 like that. So what I do is that I will just multiply equation 1 with omega x. Okay, so then my equation becomes ix omega x dot will be into omega x will be equal to omega x omega y omega z into iy minus iz, right? And second equation I'll do multiply with omega y, then that equation becomes iy. So this I am multiplying with the force free relations. Okay, then that is omega x, sorry, omega y which is equal to omega x omega y omega z iz minus ix will be reaching. And in the third case again by multiplying with omega zz, then I'll be getting iz omega z is equal to omega x omega y omega z I x minus iy. Okay, so I get a three equation just multiplying with omega x omega y and omega z to the first and second and third equation of force free motion of a rigid body. And now what do I do is that, as you know, this relation ix omega x dot omega x, how do I find? Just simply this I can write it as d by dt of half I omega x square. Okay, if I do this one, I'll be getting the derivative of this one will be what? It will be ix. This I'll keep ix into 2 omega x. Okay, half into ix into 2 omega just I'll be taking uh, I by 2 I'll be keeping outside, then I'll be working on d by dt of omega x square, so that I'll be getting half ix. Okay, half ix 2 omega x dot will be there, right? 2 omega x dot, sorry, okay, omega x dot will be there. Okay, so half ix 2 omega x dot, that means what? So half and 2 will cancel, then you will be having ix omega x dot omega x will be there. What it means? So you can write d by dt of half ix omega x square will be equal to ix omega x dot omega x. So that is the first term here. Okay, so I can replace this term by d by dt half ix omega x square. So we'll see what do I do here now. So this entire equation, this first equation, I can transform into what? I can represent it as d by dt of half ix omega x square, okay, which is equal to omega x omega y omega z iy minus iz. Okay, so we'll keep that aside. And similarly we can do the same for the other two equations as well. So this also I can represent as d by dt of half iy omega y square, which is equal to omega x omega y omega z I z minus I x. Okay, then we'll have d by dt of half iz omega y whole square is equal to omega x omega y omega z I x minus iy, like that. So okay, so I can represent that equation like in this three format. So this I'll keep equation number 4, equation number 5 and equation number 6. Now if I put this all together, that means if I add 4 plus, if I add 4 plus 5 plus and 6, these three equation if I add, then I'll have the representation like this: d by dt of half ix omega x square plus d by dt of half iy omega y square plus d by dt half I omega z square ix omega z square, which is equal to, so if I do together, because we know that if you just multiply this entire equation, so if I just add this entire equation, this part of the equation becomes 0. Okay, so if you add this together, this will be equal to 0. You'll be getting as 0, and you can represent ix omega s square ix y I 1 by 2 iy omega y square d by dt 1 by 2 ix iz. This is iz. Okay, iz omega z square, we can simply write as d by dt of half I omega square, which is equal to 0. So if what is half I omega square means? That is d by dt of t. T is the kinetic energy, the T equal to the kinetic energy, so which is equal to what? Half I omega square, that we have derived in the last class. So by representing this equation, so what we got is d by dt of t is equal to 0. So the kinetic energy, the derivative of the kinetic energy equal to 0 means what? The kinetic energy is conserved. Okay, the kinetic energy is conserved in the case. That's about conservation of kinetic energy. Okay, so what we have done here, we just started with force free equation and we multiply with omega x omega y and omega z, and followed by we represented the equation in terms of d by dt half ix omega square, then we added that together, then we finally ended up that d by dt of half I omega square sorry, half I omega square. Okay, half I omega square, that is d by dt of t. T is kinetic energy, half I omega square. Then we finally ended up that the kinetic energy is conserved. So if you take the derivative of that, kinetic energy is equal to 0, means what? It is conserved in that case. Okay, hope it is clear. And next, since kinetic energy is conserved, our discussion next will move on to, as you know, so now we need to see that the conservation of angular momentum as well. Okay, now we need to see the conservation of angular momentum here. Okay, conservation of angular momentum. So for that, how do we explain that whether the angular momentum is conserved or not? So for that we'll do one more exercise. Okay, so now we derived the kinetic energy is conserved. So it is easy to say that conservation of angular momentum because we already know that tau equal to what? Tau means the torque is equal to dl by dt. Okay, tau equal to dl by dt. So now if we say for force free rotation case, if torque equal to 0, the force applying on that rotational body equal to 0, then means what? That is dl by dt equal to 0, because we know tau equal to dl by dt. If tau equal to 0, dl by dt equal to 0, that means what? L is equal to a constant. Okay, the angular momentum is a constant, and we can say that this is conservation of angular momentum case. That's simple. Conservation of angular momentum is that simple, that if the force free rotation is actually, if the rotation is torque free, then we can say that dl by dt will be equal to 0, and the angular momentum will be conserved for a force free rotation or a torque free rotation. Okay, so next we will be discussing about the relation between, okay, relation between torque and kinetic energy. Okay, so now we'll derive a relation between torque and kinetic energy here. So for that I'll do represent that in terms, how do we represent that equation, we'll get to know here. For in order to find a relation between torque and kinetic energy, so we already know that tau equal to, the torque tau equal to I omega dot, okay, sorry one second, okay, I omega dot plus omega cross L. Okay, then now what I do is that I'll just multiply this equation. Let me just keep it as equation number 1, and I multiply the equation number 1 with an omega, that is omega dot tau is equal to omega dot I omega dot, okay, I omega dot plus omega dot omega cross L. Okay, now this representation becomes omega dot tau is equal to omega dot I omega dot plus this equation I can just rearrange, and I can say that that is L dot omega cross omega, L dot omega cross omega, and this term, if you do this term will become to 0. Okay, so if you rearrange L dot omega cross omega like that, and if your omega is sorry, omega is operating on omega, then this term will becomes 0. Then we'll represent that omega tau will be equal to omega dot I omega dot, okay, omega tau is equal to, okay, omega tau is equal to omega into I omega dot. Omega dot means d omega by dt. So now we can represent that is in d omega dt representation. Omega dot tau is equal to omega into I d omega by dt. Okay, and if you just say rearrange, this is omega tau will be equal to d omega by dt into I omega. It will be like this, and like earlier we have done this, we can give a substitution like this: d by dt half I omega square is equal to what? It is I omega omega dot. Okay, okay, okay. Like you can already substitute. So we'll get a relation that omega dot tau is equal to d by dt of half I omega square. Okay, then we can say that what is half I omega square? Half omega square is our kinetic energy, so we can represent it as d by dt of t. Okay, where t is equal to half I omega square is the kinetic energy. So we got a relation between torque, okay, torque and kinetic energy. So omega dot tau equal to derivative of kinetic energy. So if you take the derivative of kinetic energy, then you'll be getting omega dot tau, where tau is the torque. Okay, so you'll be getting a relation like that, that is d by dt of t is equal to omega dot tau. Okay, either you can represent in any form. So this is about the relation between torque and kinetic energy. Uh, with that discussion, today's session will wind up. So what so far we have done today is that we mainly find it out the equation of motion of a Euler's equation of motion. We have done today Euler's equation of motion of a rigid body. Then we have done force-free rotation. Okay, force-free relation we identified. Then for a force-free relation, the conservation of energy we have derived, conservation of kinetic energy we have done. Then we have done the conservation of momentum, okay, conservation of angular momentum L, that we have identified by using for a force-free relation where torque is equal to 0. Then further we have identified the relation between tau and kinetic energy. So these are the five small topics we have discussed uh, in today's session. Hope you are clear with the discussion. If you have any doubt on this discussion, you can ask me now. So you have to know that importance of Euler's equation of motion is that it is actually representing a rotating rigid body, whereas Newton's law actually giving a relation that it is actually representing for an inertial body, or a body is in rest, then you can apply Newton's second law in that case. Okay, so that's the main thing you need to understand. And with this discussion, hope we completed almost that third module of kinematics and dynamics of rigid body. So if you have any doubt, you can